Half-Life Alyx is arguably the best VR game ever made. Heck, maybe you can't even argue. Let's just say it is the best VR title ever. And even outside of its VR capabilities, it is a stunning addition to the Half-Life universe. However, I'm willing to bet most people watching this video never played it. Not because you wouldn't want to play a fantastic game, but because you don't own a VR headset. And this means that the amount of people who have not experienced a fantastic game is criminally low. And apparently, I'm not the only person who thinks that. Today, we're going to take a look at this mod that changes everything. The No VR mod for Half-Life Alyx has been available for a while now, but its latest update takes it from kind of neat to a fully legitimate way to experience a gaming masterpiece. The game is now fully playable from start to finish on a standard monitor on a normal PC with minimal jank, which is very impressive considering just how much work had to go into translating a VR experience into a normal gaming experience. All you need is the mod itself and a copy of Half-Life Alyx installed via Steam. And then bam, you're playing a VR game but not in VR. And the irony is not lost on me when I see that we're going backward with technology to gain a more accessible experience. Let's not read into that or the future of VR or anything. Now, as you would imagine, there are compromises with this mod, like not being able to directly interact with physics objects, and other satisfying VR mechanics like manually reloading have been replaced with more traditional inputs. But for the most part, this is still Half-Life Alyx translated about as well as you could to a format that it just simply wasn't designed for. And the result is an enjoyable and nearly seamless experience. And I'm not going to say that you should absolutely go out and play Half-Life Alyx with this mod because it's an unforgettably awesome experience. It does have its own pitfalls, but if you do like the Half-Life universe, which is pretty rich and interesting, you can finally experience one of the cooler branches of its story without having to purchase a massively expensive and clunky headset. Now, what might be the bigger downsides of not using a headset here? Well, firstly, and probably the most important, is that combat is more or less trivialized. As an example, this section in the game that I remember so well in VR, where you get the shotgun, it's a heart-pounding sequence since you have to manually juggle reeling up the dangling corpse, putting a pipe in to stop the wheel from spinning, and then grab the shotgun, reload it, and deal with the zombies breaking through the wall. It is truly epic in VR and one of the more memorable experiences in VR gaming, period. However, without VR, you hit E to reel the corpse up, grab the shotgun, hit R to reload, and before you know it, the zombies are toast. Not a single heart palpitation to be had. And sadly, this kind of translation for the most part is unavoidable. When you take a game intended for VR and make it a single screen experience, everything is just going to be faster and easier. And unfortunately, the mod doesn't do much to compensate for the challenge. For the most part, this mod seems to be aimed at preserving the original experience as much as possible. It's just easier and honestly less engaging because, well, VR is frankly very immersive. That said, some stuff does translate a lot better than I thought it would, like wearing a hard hat to prevent barnacles from picking you up is kind of fun still. Now, outside of the combat, the other unavoidable problem with this game is that it was designed for interacting with the world in a way that, when translated, feels extremely mundane. For example, rummaging through boxes for scraps of resin or ammo in VR heightens the immersion and your connection with the game, and frankly, it's kind of fun to do it. In 2D though, it's just not nearly as satisfying to pick up a box, dump it out, and pick up the item. Certainly different mechanics could be developed to make the experience more enjoyable on PC, but that's not really the point. Now, I will say one of the benefits of playing on my home PC is that I found it much easier to take in the game's story and the world, which might sound weird because VR is so immersive, which would make you think that you would take in the narrative and your environment better. But generally in VR, you feel like you actually need to pause in between sequences to absorb the environment because you're so laser focused on, not dying. It can even get in the way of hearing what characters are saying when you're truly terrified of something that's about to kill you. And this goes for other VR games as well. It can be overwhelming, and in some cases, it can actually work against trying to soak in a narrative when you're just trying to climb a ladder or fumble reloading in a stressful situation. And playing it on a screen, I enjoyed being able to admire every vista and detailed model while also just playing the game and not being worried about having to take a breather in between sequences. I could enjoy it while progressing. Now, this mod is not finished yet. There's a handful of bugs and systems in place that are clearly hacked together in an attempt to ease the jump in perspective and controls. Since Alyx only gives you 2 inventory slots for items, you're constantly juggling things like grenades and health kits when you never really had to worry about that from a traditional FPS. The button prompts and hints for certain interactions are also these massive blocks of text that look very out of place, and there's still a bunch of missing puzzles since the ones where you have to manipulate a 3D sphere just don't work properly. But aside from that last issue, I think a lot of the remaining rough edges of the mod will slowly get eased out with future updates, and the progress it's made since it first launched is absolutely mind-blowing. And I'd say it basically represents that 2D mode that people have been wanting Valve to make an official version. I don't think they ever will, but this is pretty much as close as you'll ever get. Now, there's simply no denying the truth here. Half-Life Alyx in VR is an incredible experience and way more impressive than playing it on a PC monitor. And frankly, I can kind of see why Valve didn't put any resources in trying to convert it to a non-VR experience. The game truly is built to showcase specifically what makes VR so cool. So playing it outside of VR, you're missing out on so much of what the game was built to do. So if you go into this mod expecting to be blown away by Valve's latest Half-Life game and approach to gameplay, sadly, you're going to be disappointed. You still have to play it in VR if you want to be blown away by how good it is. But that said, Valve have still crafted an incredible world full of interesting characters that take you on a rich and engaging story that furthers the Half-Life universe. And if you love that universe as much as I do, then it might be worth your time. And who knows, maybe this mod will get updated and patched and evolved over the years to have gameplay that feels like it was more designed for a single screen experience, but that would be a considerable amount of work. We'll have to wait and see. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this mod and the whole concept of playing a VR game just not in VR. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave me a like, subscribe for more content like it, and ding that notification bell to beat the YouTube algorithm with me. Up next, check out this video on my top 10 favorite game mods. They're free and many of them rival AAA game experiences. You don't want to miss them. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.